She's the only one who makes us proud." I stared at those words on my phone screen, my 30th birthday cake sitting untouched in front of me. My mom had commented on my sister Brooke's Instagram post, a photo of her grinning at the airport, luggage in tow, ready for a surprise trip to Paris that our parents had just gifted her. The post was full of heart emojis and exclamation points, and underneath it, dozens of congratulatory comments from family and friends. My name is Ashley, and I turned 30 years old that day in a quiet apartment in Richmond, Virginia. I worked as a pharmaceutical sales representative, pulling in decent money but nothing glamorous. I lived alone, kept to myself mostly, and had spent the better part of the last 8 years trying to prove to my family that I mattered. That morning, I woke up hoping for a phone call, a text, maybe even a card in the mail. Instead, I got silence. Then I got that Instagram post. I sat there at my small kitchen table, the single cupcake I'd bought myself from the bakery downstairs looking sadder by the minute. I refreshed the post again, as if maybe I'd misread it. But no, there it was. Brooke, 26 years old, beaming like she'd won the lottery. And my mom's comment, pinned right at the top where everyone could see it. The thing is, I wasn't surprised. Not really. This was how it had always been. Brooke was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one who got all the attention, all the praise, all the support. And me? I was the backup plan, the one they tolerated but never celebrated. Growing up, Brooke got the best room in the house, the new clothes, the private tutoring when she struggled in school. I got hand-me-downs and a pat on the head when I brought home straight A's. When Brooke wanted to join the dance team in middle school, my parents paid for expensive lessons and costumes without blinking. When I asked to take photography classes in high school, my dad told me we couldn't afford it, and that I should focus on more practical things. I worked at a grocery store after school to save up for a used camera instead. My parents never came to the small art show where my photos were displayed, but they attended every single one of Brooke's dance recitals, sitting in the front row with flowers. I called my mom that afternoon, just to see if maybe she'd forgotten. The phone rang 4 times before she picked up. "Oh, Ashley, hi," she said, her voice distracted. "I'm at the airport with your sister. Can I call you back?" "It's my birthday, Mom." There was a pause. I could hear the bustle of the terminal in the background, announcements echoing over the intercom. "Oh, right. Happy birthday, honey. Listen, we're about to board. I'll call you later, okay?" She hung up before I could respond. I set the phone down and stared at the cupcake again. Then I opened my laptop and logged into the joint bank account I shared with my parents. The account I'd been contributing to for the last 6 years. It started back when my dad had a health scare. He'd needed surgery, and the medical bills piled up fast. My parents didn't have great insurance, and they were drowning in debt. I'd just landed my first big sales job, and I wanted to help. So I set up automatic transfers, $500 a month, straight from my paycheck into their account. It wasn't much, but over the years it added up. I figured it was the least I could do. They were my parents, after all. Except they never mentioned it. Not once. They never thanked me, never acknowledged the help, and when I brought it up casually at Thanksgiving 2 years ago, my mom waved it off like it was nothing. "Oh, that's sweet of you, Ashley. But we're fine. Really. Fine." They were fine. And yet here they were, dropping what I could only assume was several $1,000s on a spontaneous trip to Paris for Brooke. I did the math in my head. 6 years, $500 a month. That was $36,000. $36,000 I'd given them, thinking I was helping, thinking maybe it would mean something. I clicked through the account history, my stomach twisting with every entry. There were the usual expenses, groceries, utilities, car payments. But then I saw it. A charge for $4,000 labeled travel agency. Another for $1,500 labeled boutique shopping. And just last month, a $10,000 deposit into Brooke's personal account with the memo, gift. They'd been using my money. Not for bills, not for emergencies, for Brooke. I sat back in my chair, my hands shaking. I felt like an idiot. All those years, all that money, and they'd just been funneling it to my sister while I scraped by, living paycheck to paycheck, skipping vacations and new clothes because I wanted to make sure they were okay. I thought about all the times I'd said no to weekend trips with coworkers because I couldn't afford them. The time I'd eaten ramen for 2 weeks straight because my car needed repairs and I didn't want to dip into my emergency fund. The countless sacrifices I'd made, all while my parents were treating Brooke like royalty with my money. I looked at the cupcake again, then I looked at the screen, and I made a decision. I clicked withdraw. It took me 3 days to move all the money. $36,000, transferred back into my personal account, in increments small enough not to trigger any alerts. I told myself I wasn't stealing. It was my money. I'd earned it. I'd given it freely, sure, but they'd lied to me. They'd taken advantage of me. So I was taking it back. The guilt hit me in waves at first. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was being petty, wondering if maybe I was overreacting. But then I'd remember my mom's comment on that Instagram post. She's the only one who makes us proud. And the guilt would evaporate, replaced by something harder, something colder. I didn't tell anyone what I'd done. Not my friends, not my coworkers. I just kept going to work, kept living my life, kept pretending everything was normal. But inside, I felt different. Lighter, maybe. Or maybe just angrier. Brooke called me from Paris on the 3rd day of her trip. I let it go to voicemail. She called again the next day, and the day after that. Finally, I answered. Ashley, oh my God, you have to see this city. It's incredible. Mom and Dad are being so generous. We went to the Louvre yesterday, and tonight we're having dinner at this amazing restaurant near the Eiffel Tower. Sounds nice, I said flatly. Are you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine, just busy. Well, I wanted to thank you. I know you've been helping Mom and Dad out, and I'm sure that's part of why they could do this for me. So, thank you. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I said, don't worry about it. You're the best big sister ever, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. I hung up and threw my phone across the room. The thing about Brooke is that she wasn't a bad person. She wasn't mean or malicious. She was just oblivious. Spoiled, yes, but not intentionally cruel. She genuinely believed the world revolved around her, because that's how our parents had raised her. And I couldn't even blame her for that. It wasn't her fault they'd chosen her as the favorite. But it still hurt. I remembered when we were kids, maybe 10 and 14. I'd saved up my allowance for 3 months to buy this vintage camera I'd been eyeing at a pawn shop. The day I finally had enough money, I came home excited to show my parents. But Brooke had just gotten a bad grade on a math test, and my parents were sitting with her at the kitchen table, consoling her, promising her a new tablet if she brought her grades up. That's great, Ashley, my mom had said when I showed her the camera, barely glancing up. Now go do your homework. I took the camera to my room and cried. Not because I wanted praise, but because I wanted them to care. Just a little bit. I spent the next week researching what to do with the money. I wasn't going to blow it on something stupid. I wanted to use it wisely, in a way that would actually mean something. I thought about investing it, maybe putting it toward a down payment on a house. But then I stumbled across an ad for a medical billing course. It was a 6-month program that would certify me to work in healthcare administration, something I'd always been interested in, but never had the time or money to pursue. The program cost $8,000 up front. Before, that would have felt impossible. Now, I had the means. I signed up that night. My parents didn't notice the missing money right away. Or if they did, they didn't say anything. But 2 weeks after I withdrew it, my dad called. Ashley, we need to talk. My heart sank. About what? The account. There's been some kind of error. A lot of money is missing. Missing? Yeah, over $30,000. I called the bank and they said it was transferred out. Do you know anything about that? I paused, choosing my words carefully. I withdrew it. You what? It was my money, Dad. I put it in there. I took it back out. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, Ashley, that money was for emergencies. We were counting on it. Emergencies, I repeated, my voice tight. Like a trip to Paris? Another silence. That's different, he said finally. How? Brooke needed a break. She's been working so hard. And your mom and I wanted to do something special for her. And what about me? The words came out sharper than I intended. I've been putting money into that account for 6 years, Dad. 6 years. And not once did you or Mom say thank you. Not once did you ask if I needed help. You just took it and gave it to Brooke. That's not fair, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. No, Dad. What's not fair is that I've been busting my ass to support this family while you treat me like I don't exist. So yeah, I took my money back. And I'm not sorry. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from guilt. It was from adrenaline. From finally standing up for myself. It felt good. Terrifying. But good. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch, staring at nothing. Part of me expected to feel worse. Part of me thought the guilt would crush me. But instead, I felt relief. Like I'd finally cut a rope that had been strangling me for years. The fallout was immediate. My mom called me that evening, her voice shrill and accusatory. How could you do this to us, Ashley? We trusted you. You trusted me? I shot back. You've been lying to me for years. We didn't lie. We just didn't think you'd make such a big deal out of it. A big deal? Mom, that was $36,000. $36,000 I gave you because I thought you needed it. And you spent it on Brooke. Brooke is going through a lot right now. She needed our support. And I didn't? My mom didn't answer that. Instead, she said, Your father and I are very disappointed in you. I laughed bitterly. Of course you are. Because I'm always the disappointment, aren't I? Brooke can do no wrong, but me? I'm just the screw-up who doesn't deserve anything. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you celebrated anything I did, Mom? When's the last time you even asked how I was doing? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, We'll talk about this when you've calmed down. And she hung up. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but the tears wouldn't come. Instead, I felt this hollow ache in my chest, like something had been ripped out of me. I'd always known my parents favored Brooke, but hearing my mom defend it so casually, that was what broke me. I threw myself into the medical billing course after that. It was a way to distract myself, to channel all the anger and hurt into something productive. The coursework was intense, but I loved it. For the first time in years, I felt like I was doing something for myself, not for anyone else. Not to prove a point, not to earn approval. Just for me. The classes were held twice a week in the evenings, and on weekends I studied at a coffee shop near my apartment. I met other students, people who were also trying to better their lives, and for once, I didn't feel so alone. One woman, Patricia, was a single mom in her 40s who'd been laid off from her factory job and was retraining for something more stable. We'd grab lunch together between classes sometimes, and she'd tell me stories about her kids, about how hard it was but how worth it. "You're doing the right thing," she told me one Saturday afternoon as we reviewed practice billing codes. "Investing in yourself, that's the smartest thing you can do." My coworker Vanessa noticed the change in me too. We'd been friendly for a while, but she started inviting me out for coffee more often, asking how I was doing. I didn't tell her everything, but I told her enough. About the money. About my family. About how invisible I'd always felt. "You did the right thing," she said one afternoon as we sat in a cafe near our office. "They were taking advantage of you." "I keep telling myself that," I said. "But part of me still feels guilty." "Why? Because you stood up for yourself?" "Because they're my parents, and Brooke is my sister. I'm supposed to just forgive them, right?" Vanessa shook her head. "Forgiveness isn't the same as being a doormat, Ashley. You can love your family and still set boundaries." Her words stuck with me. I'd spent so long trying to earn my family's love that I'd forgotten I didn't have to. I could just walk away, but walking away was easier said than done. Brooke came back from Paris 3 weeks after my birthday and called me again. This time, I answered. "Ashley, what the hell is going on? Mom and Dad are furious with you." "I'm sure they are. They said you took money out of their account. Is that true?" "It was my money, Brooke." "But they needed it." "No, they didn't. They used it to send you to Paris." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I didn't know that." "Of course you didn't. You never know anything, do you? You just get to coast through life while the rest of us pick up the pieces." "That's not fair," she said, her voice small. "Maybe not. But it's true. Ashley, I'm sorry. I didn't realize—" "It doesn't matter anymore," I interrupted. "Just enjoy your life, Brooke. That's what you're good at." I hung up and blocked her number. That night I looked at myself in the mirror for a long time. I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. She looked harder, angrier, but also stronger. I thought about my mom's Instagram comment. "She's the only one who makes us proud." And I realized something. I didn't need them to be proud of me. I just needed to be proud of myself. And for the first time in my life, I was. I scrolled through my photos from the past few years, pictures of me at work events, at dinners with friends, on solo trips I'd taken when I could scrape together enough money. In every single one, I was smiling, but the smile never reached my eyes. I looked tired, defeated. I took a selfie right then, standing in my bathroom in sweatpants with messy hair. And I smiled. A real smile. Because I'd finally done something for me. I posted it on my own Instagram with a simple caption. 30 and thriving. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't need to. This wasn't for them. It was for me. A month passed before my parents reached out again. I'd blocked Brooke's number, but my mom found another way to contact me, through email. The subject line read, "We need to talk about this situation." I almost deleted it without reading. Almost. But curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it. "Ashley, your father and I have been discussing your recent behavior, and we think you owe us an explanation. Taking that money was extremely selfish, especially when you knew we had plans. Brooke has been very upset by all of this, and frankly, so have we. We raised you better than this. We expect you to return the money immediately and apologize to your sister for ruining her trip experience. She's been crying every day since she found out what you did. Family is supposed to support each other, and you've let us all down. Please call us so we can resolve this like adults. Mom." I read it 3 times, each time feeling my blood pressure rise a little higher. They expected me to apologize. They expected me to return the money. And somehow, in their twisted logic, I was the one who'd ruined Brooke's trip. A trip she'd already taken and enjoyed. A trip funded by my own hard-earned money. I typed out a response, my fingers flying across the keyboard. "Mom, I don't owe you anything. Not an explanation, not an apology, and certainly not that money. I gave it to you in good faith, believing you needed it for medical bills and essential expenses. Instead, you used it to spoil Brooke while treating me like I didn't exist. I'm done being your backup bank account. I'm done being invisible. Don't contact me again unless you're ready to have an honest conversation about how you've treated me for the last 30 years. Ashley. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The medical billing course was going well. I'd completed 2 months of the program and was excelling in all my classes. Patricia and I had become genuine friends, studying together most weekends and sharing stories about our lives. She was the first person I told about the full extent of what had happened with my family. They said what? She asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. We were sitting in the coffee shop, our textbooks spread across the table. They want me to apologize and return the money. Are they insane? Apparently. I took a sip of my coffee. My mom made it sound like I'd committed some terrible crime. Patricia shook her head. You know what I think? I think they're panicking. They got used to having that cushion of money and now it's gone. They're trying to guilt you into giving it back. It's working a little, I admitted. I keep thinking about Brooke crying. Brooke's a grown woman. If she's crying, it's because she finally had to face reality. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But there was still a part of me that felt guilty. That part that had been trained since childhood to put everyone else first, to smooth things over, to make sure everyone was happy. Everyone except me. My phone buzzed. It was an unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Virginia. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Ashley, it's Dad. I should have hung up. I should have blocked the number immediately. But something in his voice stopped me. What do you want? I want to talk. Really talk. Not argue, not fight. Just talk. I hesitated. I'm listening. Your mom's email was out of line. I told her that. But Ashley, you have to understand where we're coming from. That money, we had plans for it. Plans that didn't include me. He sighed. It's not that simple. Actually, Dad, it is. You took my money and gave it to Brooke. You let Mom post that comment on Instagram saying Brooke was the only one who made you proud. You forgot my birthday. It really is that simple. We didn't forget your birthday. Your mom was just distracted with getting Brooke to the airport. That's worse, Dad. That's so much worse. You chose to prioritize Brooke over me. Again. Like you always do. Brooke needs more support. She's not as stable as you are. There it was. The excuse I'd heard 1,000 times growing up. Brooke needs more. Brooke's struggling. Brooke deserves special treatment. And me? I was just supposed to be stable, solid, the one who never needed anything. I'm not doing this anymore, I said quietly. I'm not going to keep setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm. Ashley? No, Dad, I'm done. I took my money back, and I'm using it to better my life. If you can't be happy for me, then we don't have anything else to talk about. I hung up and immediately blocked the number. My hands were shaking, but I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. Every time I stood up to them, it got a little easier. The guilt was still there, but it was quieter now. Easier to ignore. Vanessa noticed my mood at work and pulled me aside during our lunch break. You okay? You seem tense. My dad called. Oh no. What happened? I told her about the conversation, about his excuse that Brooke needed more support, about how I'd finally had enough. Vanessa listened without interrupting, then said, You know what I think? I think you're grieving. Grieving? Yeah. You're grieving the family you thought you had, or the family you wanted to have. And that's okay. It's normal. But you can't let that grief pull you back into their dysfunction. She was right. I was grieving. I was mourning the relationship I'd never have with my parents, the sisterhood Brooke and I would never share. But more than that, I was grieving the version of myself who'd spent so many years trying to earn love that should have been freely given. That weekend, I was studying at the coffee shop when my phone buzzed with a text from another unknown number. This time, it was Brooke. "Ashley, please talk to me. I got a new phone. I didn't know about the money. I didn't know they were using yours. I'm so sorry. Can we please talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to hear what she had to say. But another part of me, the stronger part, knew it wouldn't change anything. I typed back, "Brooke, I need space. I'm not ready to talk yet. Maybe someday, but not now." She responded immediately. "I understand. I'm here when you're ready. I love you." I didn't reply. 3 months into my medical billing course, something unexpected happened. My instructor, a woman named Diane who'd worked in healthcare administration for 20 years, pulled me aside after class. "Ashley, I wanted to talk to you about your work. You're one of the top students in the program." "Thank you," I said, surprised. "I'm serious. Your attention to detail is exceptional, and you have a real knack for this. Have you thought about what you want to do after you finish the program?" I was hoping to find a position at a hospital or clinic, something stable. Diane smiled. "I have a friend who works at Virginia Commonwealth University Health System. They're looking for someone to join their billing department. It's a senior position, and the pay is excellent. I'd like to recommend you." My heart skipped. "Really?" "Really. I'll send you the details. You'd have to interview, of course, but I think you'd be perfect for it." I walked out of class that day feeling lighter than I had in months. This was it. This was the opportunity I'd been working toward, and I'd done it all on my own, without my family's support or approval. When I got home, I found an envelope slipped under my door. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. My mom's. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a birthday card, 3 months late, and a check for $500. The card read, "We're sorry we missed your birthday. We hope this makes up for it. Love, Mom and Dad." $500, a fraction of what I'd given them over the years, and they thought this would fix things. I tore up the check and threw it in the trash. The interview at Virginia Commonwealth University Health System was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I spent the entire weekend preparing, reviewing my coursework, practicing answers to common interview questions. Vanessa helped me pick out a professional outfit, a navy blazer and slacks that made me look capable and confident. The morning of the interview, I woke up with butterflies in my stomach. This was the biggest opportunity I'd had in years, and I wasn't going to let my family drama ruin it for me. The interview went better than I could have imagined. The hiring manager, a woman named Caroline, was impressed with my background in pharmaceutical sales and my dedication to completing the medical billing program while working full-time. "We need someone who's organized, detail-oriented, and can handle high-pressure situations," Caroline said. "From what Diane told me and what I'm seeing here, you fit that description perfectly." "Thank you. I'm really excited about this opportunity." The position comes with full benefits, and the starting salary is $75,000 a year. Does that work for you? I nearly fell out of my chair. $75,000. That was almost double what I was making in pharmaceutical sales. "That works perfectly," I managed to say. "Great. I'll be in touch by the end of the week with our decision." I walked out of the hospital feeling like I was floating. This was really happening. My life was actually turning around. When I got back to my car, I had 6 missed calls from my mom and 3 from my dad. I ignored them all. That evening, Vanessa invited me out for drinks to celebrate. We went to a wine bar downtown, and I told her about the interview, about the salary, about how surreal everything felt. "You deserve this," she said, raising her glass. "After everything you've been through, you deserve something good." "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop," I admitted. "Like something's going to go wrong." "Nothing's going to go wrong. You're talented, you've worked hard, and you're finally putting yourself first. That's not selfish. That's survival. We talked for hours, and for the first time in months, I felt genuinely happy. Not just relieved or vindicated, but actually happy. When I got home that night, there was another email from my mom. This one had the subject line, "Emergency." My stomach dropped. Despite everything, they were still my parents. If something was really wrong, I needed to know. I opened the email. "Ashley, we need to talk immediately. Your father lost his job last week and we're in serious financial trouble. We need that money back. This isn't a request. This is a genuine emergency. We could lose the house. Please call us as soon as you get this. Mom." I read it twice, my happiness from the evening draining away. My dad had lost his job. They might lose the house. And somehow, this was my responsibility. Except it wasn't. I'd given them $36,000 over 6 years. They'd used it for luxury trips and gifts for Brooke instead of saving it for actual emergencies. This was the consequence of their choices, not mine. But the guilt was crushing. They were my parents. No matter how badly they'd treated me, did I really want them to lose their home? I called Vanessa. "They're saying it's an emergency," I told her. "My dad lost his job. They might lose the house. Ashley, listen to me very carefully. This is not your problem. But what if they're telling the truth? What if they really are in trouble? Then they need to figure it out like adults. They can downsize. They can get new jobs. They can ask Brooke for help. You are not their safety net. You gave them $36,000, and they wasted it. If they're in financial trouble now, that's on them. I know you're right. I know that. But nothing. You're about to start an amazing new job. You're building a life for yourself. Don't let them drag you back down." I took a deep breath. "You're right. You're absolutely right." After I hung up with Vanessa, I replied to my mom's email. "Mom, I'm sorry to hear about Dad's job, but I can't help you financially. I gave you $36,000 over the years, and you chose to spend it on things that weren't emergencies. I have my own life to worry about now. I suggest you talk to Brooke about helping out since she's the one you've always prioritized. Best of luck. Ashley." I hit send and turned off my phone. 3 days later, I got the call from Caroline. I'd gotten the job. I started crying right there in my living room. Happy tears. Relieved tears. Tears for everything I'd been through to get to this moment. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. I called Patricia first to tell her the news. She screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "This is just the beginning, Ashley. You're going to do amazing things." Then I called Vanessa, who insisted we go out to celebrate properly. We went to a nice restaurant, not too fancy, but nicer than anywhere I'd been in years. I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and didn't feel guilty about it. "To new beginnings," Vanessa said, raising her glass. "To new beginnings," I echoed. My start date at the hospital was in 3 weeks. I gave my notice at the pharmaceutical company, and my boss was understanding, even congratulatory. The medical billing course was winding down, and I'd finish with top marks. Everything was finally falling into place. Then Brooke showed up at my apartment. I was coming home from the grocery store when I saw her sitting on the steps outside my building. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her usual polished appearance was gone, replaced by something more subdued. "What are you doing here?" I asked, not unkindly, but not warmly either. "I needed to see you, to apologize in person." "Brooke, I told you I need space." "I know, but please, just give me 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." I hesitated, then unlocked the door. 5 minutes. We went up to my apartment, and I set the groceries on the counter. Brooke stood awkwardly in my living room, looking around like she'd never been there before. She hadn't. I'd never invited her. "Ashley, I didn't know," she started. "I swear I didn't know they were using your money. When I found out, I confronted them. We had a huge fight. And they told me you were being dramatic, that you'd given them the money freely and now you were trying to hold it over their heads. But I know that's not true. I went through their bank statements. I saw everything." I crossed my arms. "So, what do you want?" "Absolution." "No. I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being oblivious, for taking everything for granted, for not realizing how badly they were treating you. You're my sister, and I should have noticed." Her voice cracked on the last word, and I saw tears forming in her eyes. "Brooke, you were just being who they taught you to be. I don't blame you for that. But I should have been better. I should have paid attention. I should have stood up for you." I softened a little. "Yeah, you should have. I told them I'm not taking any more money from them until they apologize to you. And I meant it." That surprised me. "You did?" "I did. And they're furious with me now, too. Apparently, I'm being ungrateful." Despite everything, I felt a small flicker of sympathy for her. "Welcome to my world. I don't know how you dealt with this for so long." "I didn't have a choice." Brooke wiped her eyes. "I'm moving out of their house. I got my own apartment, and I'm going back to school to finish my degree. I'm not going to be their perfect little princess anymore." "Good for you," I said, and I meant it. "Do you think we could ever be real sisters? Not just by blood, but actually be there for each other?" I thought about it. "Maybe. Someday. But it's going to take time, Brooke. A lot of time." "I understand. I'll wait as long as it takes." After she left, I sat on my couch and thought about what she'd said. She was trying. She was actually trying. It didn't erase the past, but it was something. My phone buzzed with another email from my mom. I almost didn't open it, but something made me click. "Ashley, I don't know what you said to Brooke, but she's refusing to help us. You've turned her against us. You're tearing this family apart. I hope you're happy. Mom." I deleted the email without responding. I was happy. And that was what terrified them the most. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. I finished the medical billing course at the top of my class, received my certification, and prepared for my new job at the hospital. Patricia threw me a small celebration at her house, inviting a few of our classmates. It was simple, just pizza and cake. But it felt more genuine than any family gathering I'd ever attended. "Speech!" someone called out, and everyone laughed. I stood up, feeling awkward but grateful. "I just want to say thank you. 6 months ago, I was in a really dark place. I felt invisible and unappreciated. But this course, and all of you, helped me remember that I'm worth something. So thank you for being there for me." Everyone clapped, and Patricia pulled me into a hug. "You're going to kill it at that hospital," she whispered. The day before I started my new job, I decided to do something I'd been putting off. I went through all my social media and unfollowed my parents. I didn't block them, but I didn't want to see their posts anymore. I was done letting their lives affect mine. As I was scrolling through, I noticed something odd. My mom had posted a status update 2 days earlier. "Sometimes your children disappoint you in ways you never imagined. We raised Ashley to be better than this, but she's chosen selfishness over family, praying for her to see the light." The post had dozens of comments, mostly from relatives and family friends I barely knew. Most of them were supportive of my mom, saying things like, "Stay strong," and "Family is everything." But there were a few that stood out. My Aunt Linda, my dad's sister, had commented, "Maybe it's time to look at your own actions instead of blaming Ashley. I've watched you treat that girl like garbage for years. She deserves better." And my cousin Jake had written, Ashley's been supporting you guys financially for years and you never even thanked her. Maybe she got tired of being taken for granted. I felt a rush of vindication. So other people had noticed. Other people knew the truth. I screenshotted the post and the comments, then saved them to a folder on my computer. Insurance, in case I ever needed proof. My first day at Virginia Commonwealth University Health System was nerve-wracking but exhilarating. Caroline showed me around, introduced me to the team, and gave me a thorough overview of my responsibilities. The department was busy but organized, and everyone seemed genuinely welcoming. "You'll do great," Caroline said as she left me at my new desk. "If you need anything, just ask." I spent the first week learning the systems, getting familiar with the processes, and meeting with different departments to understand how everything connected. It was a lot to absorb, but I loved every minute of it. This was real. This was mine, and nobody could take it away from me. At the end of my first week, Caroline called me into her office. "I wanted to check in and see how you're adjusting." "It's been amazing," I said honestly. "Thank you again for this opportunity." "You've earned it. I've been getting great feedback from the team. You're catching on fast." "I'm trying my best. I can tell. And I wanted you to know that there's room for growth here. If you continue performing at this level, I could see you moving into a management position within a year or two." Management. Within a year or two. I could barely process it. "That would be incredible," I managed to say. "Just keep doing what you're doing." I left her office feeling like I was walking on air. That weekend, I finally responded to Brooke's last text. I invited her to lunch at a casual cafe near my apartment. Nothing fancy, nothing emotionally charged. Just two sisters trying to figure out if they could salvage something from the wreckage of their family. She showed up looking nervous, clutching her purse like a lifeline. "Thanks for agreeing to meet," she said as we sat down. I figured it was time. We ordered sandwiches and made small talk for a while. Her new apartment, her plans to go back to school, my new job. It felt stilted and awkward, but it was a start. "I talked to Mom and Dad again," she said eventually. "They're still refusing to take responsibility. They think you're being vindictive." "Of course they do." I told them I wasn't going to be part of their games anymore. That if they wanted a relationship with me, they needed to grow up and apologize to you. "How'd that go?" "About as well as you'd expect. Mom hung up on me. Dad called me an ungrateful brat." I felt a pang of sympathy for her. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. You were right about everything. I was so blind, Ashley. I took everything for granted, and I let them turn me into this spoiled, oblivious person. I don't want to be that anymore. Change takes time." "I know, but I'm willing to put in the work, if you'll let me." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen before. Sincerity, remorse, a genuine desire to be better. "Okay," I said finally, "but we're starting from scratch. No expectations, no pressure, just two people trying to be sisters. I can live with that." We finished lunch and parted ways with an awkward but genuine hug. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a beginning. That night, I got a notification on my phone. My mom had tagged me in a Facebook post. Against my better judgment, I clicked on it. The post was a long, rambling message about family values, respect, and how children owe their parents everything. And at the end, she'd written, "Ashley, if you're reading this, know that your father and I are heartbroken by your actions. We're praying you'll come back to us before it's too late." The comments were a mix of support for my parents and questions about what had happened. Some relatives were asking me directly what was going on. I could have ignored it. I probably should have ignored it. But something inside me snapped. I commented on the post. "Mom, I gave you $36,000 over 6 years to help with medical bills and expenses. You used it to fund luxury trips and gifts for Brooke while ignoring me completely. You forgot my birthday, publicly stated that Brooke was the only child who made you proud, and now you're trying to guilt me into giving you more money. I'm done being your ATM. If you want a relationship with me, start by apologizing and taking responsibility for your actions." I hit post before I could second-guess myself. Within minutes, the comments started pouring in. Some relatives were shocked. Others were supportive. My Aunt Linda commented, "Finally, someone said it." And my mom responded with, "This is a private family matter. How dare you air our business publicly?" I replied, "You made it public when you tagged me. I'm just telling my side of the story." Then I logged off and blocked both my parents on all social media. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. I'd finally told the truth. I'd finally stood up for myself in a way that couldn't be ignored or dismissed. And I was done apologizing for it. The Facebook post exploded overnight. By the time I woke up the next morning, there were over 200 comments and countless shares. My phone was flooded with messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, some supportive, others demanding explanations. My Aunt Linda called me at 7 in the morning. "Ashley, honey, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Better than fine, actually." "I just saw what you posted. I had no idea it was that bad." "Most people didn't. They were good at hiding it. Well, the truth is out now. Your Uncle Tom and I have been talking, and we want you to know we're on your side. What your parents did was inexcusable. Thank you. That means a lot. And between you and me, your mother is losing her mind. She's been calling everyone in the family, trying to get them to side with her. It's not going well for her." I felt a small surge of satisfaction. Good. After I hung up with Linda, I checked my email. There were 3 messages from my mom, each more desperate than the last. The first was angry, accusing me of betrayal and slander. The second was manipulative, talking about how hurt she and my dad were. The third was almost pleading, asking me to delete the post and call her. I deleted all 3 without responding. At work that Monday, I threw myself into my new role. The hospital billing department was complex and demanding, but I loved the challenge. Caroline had given me several high-priority accounts to manage, and I was determined to prove I belonged there. During lunch, Vanessa called. "So I saw your Facebook post. You and everyone else. Are you okay? That took guts. I'm tired of hiding their dysfunction. If they wanted privacy, they shouldn't have aired their grievances publicly first." "Fair point. How are they taking it?" "Not well, from what I hear. But that's not my problem anymore." "Good for you. Seriously. I'm proud of you." That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. "Hello?" "Ashley, it's your dad." I tensed. "How did you get this number?" "I asked your cousin Jake. Please don't hang up." I said nothing, waiting. "Your mother is beside herself. That Facebook post. You've humiliated us in front of the entire family. You humiliated yourselves. I just told the truth. We need to meet, face to face. We need to resolve this." "There's nothing to resolve, Dad. You and Mom made your choices. I made mine. We're done." "Ashley, please. We're your parents. Then maybe you should have acted like it. I'm asking you one more time. Meet with us this week. We'll buy you dinner. We'll talk things through like adults." I almost laughed. "Like adults? Dad, adults don't forget their daughter's birthday. Adults don't steal money from one child to spoil another. Adults take responsibility for their actions. We're willing to admit we made mistakes." That stopped me. "You're willing to admit it?" "Yes. We know we haven't been perfect. We want to make things right." I was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Part of me wanted to refuse, to keep the wall up. But another part, the part that still remembered being a little girl who just wanted her parents to love her, wondered if maybe, just maybe, they were sincere. "Fine. One dinner. But I choose the place, and Brooke comes too. Why does Brooke need to be there? Because she's part of this family too, and she deserves to hear whatever you have to say. He hesitated. Okay, when? Friday night, 6 p.m. I'll text you the address. After I hung up, I immediately called Brooke. They want to meet, I told her. All of us. Friday night. What did you say? I said yes, but I need you there as backup. Of course, I'll be there. And Brooke, don't tell them what we've talked about. I want to see if they're actually going to be honest or if this is just another manipulation. Got it. I spent the next few days preparing for the dinner. I made a list of everything I wanted to say, every grievance I'd buried over the years. I wasn't going to yell or cry. I was going to be calm, clear, and firm. They were going to hear me, whether they liked it or not. Friday came faster than I expected. I chose a quiet restaurant in downtown Richmond, public enough that they couldn't make a scene, but private enough for a serious conversation. I arrived early and took a table in the back corner. Brooke showed up 15 minutes before our parents, looking nervous. You okay? She asked. I will be. At exactly 6 p.m., my parents walked in. My mom looked older than I remembered, her face tight with stress. My dad had lost weight, his shoulders hunched like he was carrying something heavy. They sat down across from us, and for a moment, nobody spoke. Finally, my dad cleared his throat. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Let's just get to it, I said. You wanted to talk, so talk. My mom folded her hands on the table. Ashley, we owe you an apology. I waited. We've been thinking a lot about what you said, about the money and how we've treated you. And you're right. We haven't been fair to you. Go on. We've always worried about Brooke more because she struggled with things you seemed to handle easily. You were always so independent, so capable. We thought you didn't need us as much. So you just stopped trying? We didn't stop trying. We just prioritized differently. You forgot my birthday, Mom. You commented on Instagram that Brooke was the only one who made you proud. How is that prioritizing differently? She looked down. That comment was a mistake. I was just excited for your sister. A mistake you left up for everyone to see. My dad jumped in. We're here because we want to fix this. We want our family back. You want your ATM back? I corrected. Let's be honest about what this is really about. That's not fair, my mom said. Isn't it? Dad lost his job, you're in financial trouble, and suddenly you want to reconcile. The timing is pretty convenient. Brooke spoke up for the first time. She's right. You didn't care about fixing things until you needed money. My mom turned to her, shocked. Brooke, you know that's not true. Actually, I don't. Ashley's been telling the truth about everything. I went through the bank statements. I saw where all her money went. And I've been thinking about how differently you treated us growing up. She's not making this up. We gave you both everything we could, my dad insisted. No, I said firmly. You gave Brooke everything. You gave me leftovers and criticism. The table fell silent. Finally, my mom's facade cracked. What do you want from us, Ashley? You want us to grovel? To beg? We're here. We're apologizing. What more do you want? I want you to mean it. We do mean it. Then prove it. Tell me one thing you're proud of me for. One accomplishment you celebrated. One time you put my needs first. She opened her mouth, then closed it. She couldn't think of anything. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They really couldn't think of a single thing. That's what I thought, I said quietly. My dad leaned forward, his voice strained. Ashley, you're being unreasonable. We're trying here. No, you're trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty so I'll give you more money. There's a difference. That's not what this is about, my mom protested. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm sitting, This looks like a last-ditch effort to get back into my good graces so you can use me again. Brooke reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. The gesture gave me strength. Let me make something very clear, I continued. I'm not giving you any more money. Not now, not ever. I spent 6 years supporting you and you used me. That's done. My mom's eyes filled with tears. We're going to lose the house, Ashley. Is that what you want? To see your parents homeless? You're not going to be homeless. You have options. You can downsize. You can get jobs. You can ask Brooke for help, since she's apparently the only daughter you care about. I already told them no, Brooke said quietly. I'm not enabling this anymore either. My parents looked at her with matching expressions of betrayal. You too? My dad asked. We raised you better than this. No, you raised me to be selfish and entitled. Ashley's helping me see that. My mom pushed back from the table, her voice rising. This is ridiculous. We've apologized. We've admitted we made mistakes. What more do you want? I want you to understand why what you did was wrong. I want you to acknowledge that you hurt me, not just say sorry because you think it's what I want to hear. Fine. You want specifics? We're sorry we forgot your birthday. We're sorry we didn't celebrate your achievements. We're sorry we used your money. Is that what you wanted to hear? Say it like you mean it. My mom's face hardened. I've said all I'm going to say. If that's not good enough for you, then I guess we're done here. She stood up, grabbing her purse. My dad looked between us, conflicted. Are you coming? She asked him. He stood slowly. Ashley, I hope you reconsider. Family is important. Family is important, I agreed. That's why I'm not letting you abuse me anymore. They left without another word. Brooke and I sat there in silence for a moment. Well, that went about as well as expected, she finally said. Yeah. Are you okay? I am, actually. I gave them a chance. They blew it. That's on them. We ordered dinner and spent the next hour talking about everything except our parents. Brooke told me about her new apartment, about the classes she was planning to take. I told her about work, about my plans for the future. For the first time in our lives, we were just two sisters having dinner. No competition, no favoritism, no drama. Just us. When we left the restaurant, Brooke hugged me tight. Thank you for giving me another chance, she said. Thank you for showing up. Over the next few weeks, things settled into a new normal. I excelled at my job, impressing Caroline and the rest of the team with my work ethic and attention to detail. The hospital environment suited me, and I found genuine satisfaction in knowing my work helped people, even if indirectly. My parents tried reaching out a few more times. Emails, voicemails, even a letter sent to my apartment. Each message was the same, apologetic on the surface but manipulative underneath, always circling back to their financial problems and how I could help. I ignored them all. The family drama on Facebook eventually died down, but not before several relatives reached out privately to tell me they'd suspected something was wrong for years. My Aunt Linda became a regular presence in my life, inviting me to family dinners and holidays. She'd always been kind to me, but now she was actively supportive, going out of her way to include me. Your mother is furious with me, she told me one Sunday afternoon over coffee. She thinks I'm turning the family against her. Are you? Nope, she did that all by herself. I'm just refusing to pretend everything is fine. 3 months after the disastrous dinner, Caroline called me into her office again. I have some news, she said, smiling. We're creating a new position, Assistant Director of Medical Billing. I'd like to offer it to you. My jaw dropped. Already? You've proven yourself, Ashley. You're organized, efficient, and the team respects you. The position comes with a significant raise and more responsibilities. What do you say? Yes. Absolutely yes. Great. We'll make it official next week. I left her office in a daze. Assistant Director. 6 months ago, I'd been crying over a birthday cupcake, feeling worthless and invisible. Now I was being promoted to a leadership position at a major hospital. I called Vanessa immediately to tell her the news. Are you kidding me? That's amazing. I can't believe it's happening. I can. You've worked incredibly hard. You deserve this. That weekend, Patricia threw me an impromptu celebration at her house. It was small, just her kids, Vanessa and Brooke. But it meant everything to me. These people had seen me at my lowest and supported me as I rebuilt my life. To Ashley, Patricia said, raising her glass of soda. The strongest person I know. Everyone echoed the toast, and I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you, I said. All of you. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Later that night, as I was driving home, my phone rang. It was my dad. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Ashley, it's Dad. Please don't hang up. What do you want? I wanted to tell you that I got a new job. It doesn't pay as much as the old one, but it's something. And your mom is working part-time at a retail store. Good for you. We're going to be okay. We're figuring it out. I waited for the ask, for the manipulation, but it didn't come. I also wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not because I want something from you, but because you deserve to hear it. We were wrong. We treated you terribly, and there's no excuse for that. I pulled over, my hands shaking. Your mother isn't ready to admit it yet, but I am. You were right about everything. We took you for granted. We played favorites. We used you. And I'm sorry. Tears streamed down my face. This was what I'd wanted to hear for 30 years. Thank you, I managed to say. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to want a relationship with me. I just needed you to know that I see what we did. And I'm ashamed of it. We talked for another 20 minutes. He didn't ask for money, didn't try to guilt me into anything. He just talked, and I listened. And for the first time in my life, I felt like my dad actually saw me. When we hung up, I sat in my car for a long time, processing. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a start. The following months brought changes I never could have imagined. My new role as assistant director kept me busy but fulfilled. I implemented new systems that streamlined the billing process, saving the hospital thousands of dollars and improving patient satisfaction. Caroline praised my work in department meetings, and other directors started seeking my input on their own processes. Brooke and I grew closer, meeting for dinner once a week and texting regularly. She'd enrolled in community college and was working toward a business degree. She'd also started seeing a therapist to work through the family dynamics that had shaped her. My therapist says I was conditioned to see myself as superior, she told me one evening. And that recognizing that is the first step to changing. How's that going? It's hard. Really hard. I keep catching myself expecting special treatment, and then I have to remind myself that's not normal. The fact that you're trying means something. My relationship with my dad slowly improved. We talked on the phone every few weeks, brief conversations where he'd update me on his job and ask about mine. My mom still hadn't apologized, and I'd accepted that she probably never would. Some people aren't capable of that kind of self-reflection. 6 months into my new position, I attended a healthcare administration conference in Washington, where I networked with professionals from across the country. During a session on billing innovations, I met a woman named Grace, who ran a consulting firm that helped hospitals optimize their billing departments. You have some really interesting ideas, she said after my presentation. Have you ever thought about consulting? Not really. I'm happy where I am. Well, if you ever change your mind, here's my card. We're always looking for talented people. I pocketed the card, not thinking much of it at the time. That Christmas, I spent the holiday with Aunt Linda's family. It was the first Christmas in years where I felt genuinely welcomed and valued. Brooke came too, and we exchanged gifts and laughed and ate too much food. My parents called on Christmas morning. My dad wished me a Merry Christmas, and I could hear my mom in the background, though she didn't get on the phone. "How's your day going?" he asked. "It's good. Really good." "I'm glad. You deserve it." After we hung up, I didn't feel sad or angry. I just felt at peace. The new year brought more opportunities. Caroline approached me about pursuing a master's degree in healthcare administration, with the hospital willing to pay for most of it. I enrolled in an online program, excited about the chance to further my education. Vanessa got engaged to her long-term boyfriend, and she asked me to be a bridesmaid. Patricia's daughter graduated from high school and decided to pursue nursing, inspired by the stories her mom and I had shared about healthcare work. My life was full in ways I never thought possible. One Saturday afternoon in March, I was cleaning my apartment when I found the old birthday card my parents had sent, the one with the $500 check I'd torn up. I'd kept the pieces in a drawer, though I wasn't sure why. I looked at them for a long moment, then threw them in the trash. I didn't need their money. I didn't need their approval. I had built a life I was proud of, surrounded by people who actually valued me. That evening, I got a message from Brooke. "Just wanted to say I'm proud of you, for everything." I smiled and typed back, "Proud of you too." A few days later, my mom finally broke her silence. She sent an email with no subject line. "Ashley, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Your father tells me you're doing well, and I'm glad. I'm not good at apologies, and I don't know if I ever will be. But I want you to know that I do see you now. I see what we did, how we hurt you. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. Maybe one day we can talk. Mom." It wasn't the groveling apology I'd once fantasized about. It wasn't even a particularly good apology. But it was something. I wrote back, "Thank you for saying that. I'm not ready to have a relationship yet, but maybe someday. I hope you and Dad are doing okay." She responded, "We are, and I hope you are too." That was enough for now. As spring turned to summer, my life continued to flourish. The hospital promoted me again, this time to Director of Revenue Operations, overseeing multiple departments. My salary had nearly tripled from what I'd been making in pharmaceutical sales, and I'd started looking at houses to buy. My parents struggled for a while after my dad's job loss, eventually selling their large house and moving into a smaller condo. They both worked now, living within their means for the first time in years. According to Brooke, they talked about me sometimes, expressing regret for how they'd treated me, though my mom still struggled to say it directly to me. Brooke graduated from community college with honors and transferred to a 4-year university. She'd found her own path, independent of our parents' expectations, and I was genuinely proud of her. The family members who'd sided with my parents quietly reached out over time, some apologizing, others just trying to rebuild bridges. I was selective about who I let back in, choosing relationships that felt authentic rather than obligatory. Aunt Linda remained a constant presence, and through her, I connected with other relatives who'd always been kind but distant. I discovered cousins who'd had similar experiences with family favoritism, and we bonded over shared stories. 1 year after that fateful birthday, I celebrated turning 31 with a party at my new townhouse. Vanessa, Patricia, Brooke, Aunt Linda, and several colleagues from the hospital came. We ate good food, drank wine, and I felt genuinely celebrated for the first time in my life. As everyone sang happy birthday, I looked around at these people who'd become my chosen family, and I felt overwhelmed with gratitude. Not for the struggle I'd endured, but for the strength I'd found within myself to fight back. My parents never regained their financial stability to the level they'd enjoyed before. My dad's new job paid considerably less, and my mom's retail position was part-time with no benefits. They lived modestly, something they'd never had to do when they had access to my money. The lavish trips and expensive gifts for Brooke became impossible, and according to my sister, they'd had to learn to budget for the first time in decades. Brooke told me our mom complained constantly about having to clip coupons and shop sales, though she never acknowledged that she'd once had a comfortable cushion thanks to my contributions. My dad seemed to have genuinely changed, accepting responsibility for their situation. But my mom continued to make subtle comments to relatives about how difficult things were, always with an undertone suggesting I could have prevented their struggles if I'd just been less selfish. The extended family, however, saw through the manipulation now, and most had stopped enabling her narrative. Looking back at everything that happened, I realized that withdrawing that money wasn't revenge, it was self-preservation. I'd spent so many years trying to earn love that should have been freely given, trying to prove my worth to people who'd already decided I wasn't enough. Taking back what was mine wasn't about hurting them. It was about finally choosing myself. And in doing so, I discovered something more valuable than any amount of money could buy. The unshakable knowledge that I was enough, that I'd always been enough, and that I didn't need anyone's approval to prove it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply living well and refusing to let anyone dim your light ever again.